Hi there, my name's Lo. Welcome to my channel where I discuss everything between Hermes and grocery bags. We have very obviously moved into the fall season here in the Netherlands. It's been pouring rain off and on for the last couple of days. It's been kind of depressing, but on the other hand, it's also a perfect time to make videos because you cannot really do all that much outside if you want to stay dry. So I figured, why not make a review for the perhaps perfect backpack for this fall if you want to keep your things dry, which is this Rain's micro backpack. This one is in the color Pearl. Frankly, I don't think that this color is available anymore. It was probably a seasoned one, but the Rain's micro backpack is still available in several colors. It is also available in different sizes. I think this is the smallest one that they have, which would make sense because this one is called the micro. I think they also have a mini and a regular size, and perhaps even still some sizes up, or perhaps some backpacks that hold even more things. Rain's is a brand that's, at least I know best from their rain clothing. They have some really nice rain jackets, of which I also have a couple. But I thought it was pretty cool that they also make these backpacks which are fairly waterproof. The outside is made of polyester with a coating of polyurethane, and the inside is also made of 100% polyester. So it is a very polyestery or artificial fabric type of bag, but that also makes it very waterproof. It has, as we would say, a water column of 8,000 millimeters. I guess this is perhaps kind of a Dutch way of measuring things. I'm not really sure, but it's the same type of waterproofness measure that you would see when you are looking for a tent. Usually with tents it ranges between like 2,000 and 10,000, I suppose, so this baby is 8,000, and it's an indication of the amount of water pressure that this fabric can withstand. Supposedly it can endure 8,000 millimeters of water bearing down of it before it starts to leak. If you have a very heavy pour, at some point it's going to leak. But thus far, with the rain that I've experienced, I've noticed no leaks whatsoever thus far. That's why I really like taking out this bag for fall as a work bag, or take it out in winter, because when it rains or when it's snowing, I'm not really scared that the contents of the bag are going to get wet. This bag is not advertised as a bag that can actually hold a laptop, but I will show you in a bit that my MacBook Air, which is I think 13 inch, it's the MacBook Air M1, actually fits fairly well in this backpack. And if you have anything smaller than that, like an 11 inch or perhaps a 12 inch iPad, there's actually a pocket on the inside that would fit that quite well. Overall, this is a 5-liter bag and it weighs 650 grams approximately. That is 1.4 pounds. Let's go through the dimensions, and I'll pick it up and you'll see over here that I've actually used a little tripod to keep it up because this bag will not really stand up by itself. The width of this bag is 27 centimeters or 10.8 inches. The height is 33 centimeters or 13 inches, and the depth, perhaps a bit hard to see, but this actually folds out a little bit, and the depth is 7.5 centimeters or about 3 inches. As it is a backpack, obviously it has the straps. These are also just made out of polyester, I suppose, or polyurethane or whatever. They are adjustable. I have to say though that I already have them on the longest setting, and I'll insert a mod shot to see what it looks like on my frame. Having these at the longest setting, I would suppose that if you are perhaps a bit bigger or a bit wider than I am, that this might become a little bit too tight. But I suppose that for the average adult, or at least for the average woman, this should be fine. For reference, I'm 1.70 meters, about 5'5", and I'm a size large. Opposed to the bigger versions, I think, of this backpack, this does not have any zippered compartment on the outside, so not on the back. I think the bigger ones have a hidden zippered compartment over here, and there's also no external pockets on the front. The bag opens with this clasp. Technically, you can make this closure or this strap longer, but I haven't really had any purpose to do so. Then there's also 2 buttons at the top. They're not super necessary to use, I suppose, but also generally they're not that hard to find if you want to close them. Onto the insides, it will be a bit difficult to see because it's all black on the inside, but there is a zippered compartment here on the front, and there's a slip pocket, a big slip pocket over the full width of the bag all the way to the bottom. On the back, that also has this strap with Velcro, so you can actually put, for example, an iPad or a smaller laptop in here, and then you can put the tab down and hold your stuff in place. So let's see how that works with a laptop. So this is a 13-inch MacBook. As you can see, it goes in. This tab over here, that's not long enough to make a full closure all the way to the Velcro that it's meant to touch, but this does fit perfectly fine. The laptop doesn't even really stick out beyond the back. That's why I feel that it's perfectly fine to also just put your 13-inch MacBook Air in here. But I suppose that if you want to be absolutely certain that no water will be entering your bag, that it might be nicer to have a bigger version of this bag so that you have a bit more space between the flap and your actual laptop. It does fit, which I think is really nice because in itself this is really not such a small backpack, and the larger versions of this backpack are pretty cool, but personally I find them just way too big for my frame. If I would wear a full-size Reigns backpack, it would be more like, hey backpack, where are you going with that woman, instead of the other way around. So I personally really like this micro version of the backpack. It fits my laptop, it will fit some other stuff, and it is not too bulky. So let's put in some other things that you might want for work. A notebook. This is of course with the rings over here a fairly bulky notebook. Full-size wallet. And let's also get a water bottle in here. And we still have some space on top. If you have anything smaller you want to put on top, that should be perfectly fine. You can see it will slightly distort the bag, especially here where I put the water bottle, but I'm finding the more stuff you put in here, the more equally bulky or distorted this bag gets. In that sense, it's kind of easier to get away with a number of things, opposed to if we would just have this water bottle being bulky here on the side and then having nothing going on at the other side of the bag. To me, this is a perfectly fine work bag, but let's go into the downsides of this bag. First of all, this is a very secure bag, which will be a pro. We'll get to that in a bit, but it's kind of hard to access your stuff with this backpack. The clasp and the magnets make it very secure, and I like to have things secure, but honestly if I'm taking this to work, and that will usually just be on a rainy day, perhaps I'll wear a raincoat and I'll put my phone and my public transport card just in my raincoat, and perhaps also my earbuds and everything that I need to carry in this backpack. I'll put it in before I leave the house and I'll get it out again once I arrive at work. There's for me no getting into or out of this backpack as long as I'm traveling. I'm just not going to go through the hassle of opening up this whole thing. And then also, of course, just because it is one opening at the top, everything that you want to have access to either needs to be at the top of the bag or it needs to be organized, such as I've organized it right now, that you can just grab whatever you like from the bag with anything else not really getting in the way, because everything that you put at the bottom of the bag, if you put other stuff on top of it, it's just going to become impossible to reach. Other downside to me, and this is just kind of personal, but I don't really like the way that this has been fabricated or constructed. Yes, you can make this longer or shorter, but I have no idea why, and it never really actually looks all that good. I don't really know what it is, but this thing is always a bit bendy, it's always a bit awkward, and this D-ring is always a bit floaty. I already pointed out there's not a lot of space to go any longer with these straps. For me, it's fine. It's also fine if I'm wearing a thicker coat, for example, for winter. But I can imagine the straps of this bag perhaps being too short and therefore being uncomfortable. Also, in general, these straps are just not very comfortable. They are not padded like, for example, you would have with an Eastpak bag. They're not very soft. They don't cut into my skin or anything, but if you're looking for a more comfortable backpack, this is definitely not one I would recommend. Furthermore, it's perhaps a bit hard to see, but I already have some marking here on this bag. It's completely my own fault. It is a white bag, and the way that I stored it was probably not the best way to store it. It rubbed up against something else in the basket that I had put it in, and now I have the scuff mark over here. I've had a scuff mark on this bag before and I managed to get rid of it. I don't recall what I did, otherwise I would have told you. But yeah, now I again have the scuff mark. Hopefully I can get it out. If you're thinking about getting this bag or any of these Rains bag, I would definitely recommend going and or for a darker color and or being fairly careful, at least in terms of where you are storing it, because if it scuffs, it's gonna be hard to remove. And then lastly, the price. I think this bag retails for 70 euros, which is perhaps not super expensive for a backpack. If you want to get one of those Fjällräven backpacks, they are probably the same or even a little bit more. Luckily, I managed to get this one for less than 10 euros. I think it was a pricing error on the website that I found it. That's also why I just jumped onto it, and I got a white one, even though that's usually not something I would go for. But I don't think I would ever go forth and buy this backpack for 70 euros. I find that with Eastpak backpacks, for example, as long as you don't wash them, because usually washing them will permeate the material as such that it's not that water resistant anymore. But I'm usually finding with Eastpak backpacks, which I've worn through all of my pre-adolescent life, also in rain and whatever, that an Eastpak bag will hold up fairly well in rain too. And in most situations, you don't really need to get a bag which has an 8,000 millimeter water column or water resistance level or whatever you want to call it. But then to close off, perhaps on a more positive note, overall I really do enjoy this backpack. What is nice about it is that to me this is a lot cuter than walking around with an Eastpak backpack or a Kipling backpack. I think the Fjällräven backpacks are still kind of popular, perhaps even a bit fashionable, but this is a pretty cute and neat bag. The water resistance of this bag is really awesome, and because of that I'm not at all scared of wearing it in the rain, and it is a very good option for those days where you have to go to work and perhaps you need to go through public transport or you walk to work, or a combination of that. In the Netherlands obviously we cycle quite a bit, which is also important to have your waterproof materials, your raincoats and waterproof shoes, waterproof backpacks, water resistant everything. So for the money that I got this backpack at, I really do enjoy it and I really do wear it quite a bit. Also, I'm quite surprised still by the amount of things that can be held by this backpack. After all, it's only a 5-liter backpack, and I've had 5-liter backpacks which are just a bit wider, and because of that they're not as high and they're usually not as broad. So I don't think I have any other 5-liter backpack that can actually hold a laptop and some other essentials that I would like to carry for work. So these are my, well, surprisingly not even all that positive thoughts about this Rains micro backpack. Would I recommend it? If you like it, if you want to take out something which is a bit more fun or stylish, I suppose, in the rain, then yes, much so. Would definitely look out for a bargain, because these things do go on sale. And as I already said, if you want some longevity with this bag, then perhaps go for a darker color, because it does stain for some reason. It stains much more than any leather bag or any fabric backpack that I've had thus far, and I don't really know what is up with that. So yeah, go for a darker color and you'll probably enjoy it much longer. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it and or found it useful. If you have any questions, drop them down below for me in the comments box and I'll get back to you. For now, remember, there's a styling, a situation, especially when it rains, and a taste for everything, so don't judge, wear whatever the bag you like. Until next time, or as we would say in Dutch, doei!